Welcome into Warchant TV. This is Ira Schofel, managing editor of Warchant.com, and I'm joined today by a familiar face for longtime Florida State fans who may not have seen him around that much lately until Friday night when about a week or so ago when Florida State knocked off the Florida Gators. Jake Pfeil was back on the sideline. Currently, he is the director of sports medicine for the Atlanta Falcons. He was a longtime director of sports medicine at Florida State. Was the head athletic trainer, or head athletic trainer for Florida State, and has been a huge part of Florida State's program for a long time. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today is kind of one of the traditions for Florida State football. A lot of people saw after the game when Florida State beat Florida 45-38. The Gator head came out, which is a tradition. It's been going on for a long time, but a lot of people probably don't realize, Jake, that you've got a big part of that tradition. And kind of, I guess, started that tradition. So first of all, thanks for joining me, Jake. How you doing?
Awesome, man. Great to see you again.
All right. So first of all, take me back to the story. And I know there's a really cool story also about how you got the Gatorhead there to the game for this year's game, Florida State's win. Yeah. Take me back to the tradition. As long as I've been around covering Florida State beats Florida, the Gatorhead comes out, players, everybody's holding it up high. Where did the tradition start?
Well, and it's funny you say that because I kind of was thinking about it the other day. Like all of a sudden, it is a tradition, and it just kind of eased into that in a way. But I will say, so I was not the very first one. This Gatorhead was not original number one. The inspiration for it to me, growing up a huge Florida State fan, I remembered in 1990. They beat Florida in Tallahassee, and Bill Reagan's had one. Bill Reagan pulled out a big Gator head, and he ran around with it. And I think it was on a poster or something. And I'm, 13 years old or something at the time, and it just made an impression. I thought it was really cool, And I talked to Billy today. I called him and I told him that I was going to talk to you about this, and if there was something for him to throw in there. And he said they actually had one the year before in the swamp in '89. I don't remember ever seeing that. I somehow missed that, but I remember when Billy had it, and I think I've got an old picture of it somewhere too that I'll send you. But I just thought that was really cool, and that was the last time I'd ever seen it was then. So that led to me getting the one that I had, and we can talk about that, how that came about, and then when we started doing it again, basically.
So let's go right to that. How did you come
about this one came about. I was racking my brain thinking, I think it was 94, because I was like 16 or 17 years old. And my dad, Bill, had been wanting to get one, and he wanted a big skull to have, a big alligator skull. And he had put a word in with some people that could get him one legally. Sometimes you have like nuisance gators on people's property, and they'll call people and they'll go get them. And so he put a word in with a friend of his to get one. I can't remember if this one was Suwannee County or Hamilton County. Of course, I'm from Madison, but it was somewhere over there eating a guy's calves off his farm or something. So they went and got it. And
yeah, because it's a big gator head, man.
Yeah, it was a 13-foot alligator.
Wow.
And I remember, again, I was 16 or 17. I came home one night, and there's this cooler sitting in the kitchen floor, and he said, check that out. And it's got this freshly lopped off big old gator head sitting there, and they said, yeah, I finally got one. So he ended up just throwing it in the deep freezer, saying, in the utility room, and said, we'll get to it one day and we'll clean it up and get the skull out. And it ended up sitting there year after year after year. And I finally decided, man, we got to do something, and I found a taxidermist that my family knew. It was up in Valdosta, and he said he'd do it for me for a good price, fairly cheap. And then the more we talked, he said, well, I've never done one, but I'll figure it out. So he didn't do the greatest job on it. If you're really into taxidermy, it's a little rough around the edges, but it's very photogenic. And so I got it done. And so my first year at Florida State as a student athletic trainer working with the team, I was 97. And I can't remember if we took it down that year. Of course, we lost that game. That was, they call it the greatest game in the swamp and all that, and it was a good game. But that's why I don't remember, because it didn't come out of the box. But I can't remember if we had it on the sideline or not. But the next year, 98 in Tallahassee, I definitely did. I remember, I talked to Randy Orvitz and said, hey, I got this thing, and I think it'd be fun to do. And he said, sure, go for it. He probably asked some approvals from people here and there, but we had it. So I had it on the sideline, literally in a cardboard box that like Powerade paper cups came in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's still in that same box. It's been very kind of not fancy, kind of a covert operation right over here. But anyway, I kept it in that box on the sideline, and we beat them. And that was the Marcus Outson game, and in '98 when we ended up playing for the championship that year. But anyway, we did it, and I remember just there was no plan. It just kind of came out, and a bunch of guys ran around with it. And I think I remember it was on the front page, I think, of the Democrat Sports. I think Jeff Cheney was holding it up.
Okay.
That was kind of like, all right, that's really cool. This thing's on the front page, a big picture, and so, all right, this might be a thing. So
does it have a name?
I never gave it a name. No,
I'm just curious.
No name. Maybe we should. But it took off from there. So then, of course, the next year, the championship year, 99, we're down there in the swamp and had it on the sideline, again, just unmarked cardboard cup box. And Michael Hamilton was a freshman linebacker. He was from Madison County. So I know Mike from Madison, and he's on the team and played a little special teams that year. Comes down to the final second, we win the game. And I remember telling Mike to come and get it. And I said, take this and don't give it to anybody and just run around with it. And you'll be on the front page of every newspaper. We're number one in the country, right? And he did. And he was like, it was on like USA Today on the sports bar at the top, this picture of it. And so that's when it's gaining steam, Right. So I could sit here and tell you about every year of it probably, but right. I got to say the next year was really cool too. 2000. So I was graduating from Florida State, and I was a graduate assistant up at Mississippi State. So I had the thing with me, it just went with me. It was in my apartment or whatever. And we played Florida that year in Starkville. They were number 3 in the country. And we knocked them off. We beat them. So I had the thing there.
Oh, was that a Thursday night game, like Shane Matthews?
No, not that old. Yeah, okay. Not quite that old.
You're thinking, okay, I got you.
Yeah, they had like Brock.
So it's 10 years later.
Yeah. So it comes out of the box in Starkville. Of course, nobody knows what it is or whatever, but they thought it was cool. And, it was on like Sports Center, one of the guys running around with it. So what was really cool though, was that weekend, Florida State was on an open weekend. So 2 of my buddies came up to just come hang out and go to the game. One of them was Jason Baisden, who's the head manager now. He was a GA then. And my old roommate, Andy Orsillo, they both drove up just to come to the game. So they took it back with them. And then, of course, beat them that year, Winky's Heisman year and all. They beat us on the whole front page of the Democrat, And so it came out twice that year, which was cool. So then it's really a thing. And started picking up steam, and it had some rough years there where it stayed in the box, through I think the 6 years or maybe so. They beat us in a row, and then we had them for 5 in a row. And but 2002, I was actually an intern up here with the Falcons, and it was in a storage shed somewhere. I'm like a nomad being an intern, and they did not have it that year. And Randy Orvitz called me and said, guys were asking for it because they beat them. And I felt awful. I thought, oh my gosh, they asked for it, it'll never not be there again. I'll always have it there no matter what. So that's been the case ever since then. So
wow,
this came out every year, and lots of cool pictures. And it's like you said, it's become a thing. It's somehow become a tradition. So
I feel like I remember some years where like guys would like want to be the person that had it or something, or that. How did those conversations?
Yeah. So those years that I wasn't working at Florida State or wasn't working with football, it kind of was a training room thing. It stayed in the training room. Randy they would kind of designate like a senior that kind of been through stuff, that been through injuries. That's how you kind of earned it. And that was really cool, to do it that way. But as we approach years where we're like the 5-game streak, I know there was one year DeMarcus Walker was on me all week. I'm getting that thing first. I want the Gator head first. And I'm like, look, man, just don't even talk about it. We don't talk about it. It doesn't come out. It's not discussed till the clock's on zero, but every day he'd come out of office, and talk about it. Other guys cutting deals too. So it always like, look, man, you could be on the field when the game's over, so we can't plan it, but that year for sure, he was all over me. And like a minute to go in the game, he's looking for me, and he got it that year. But it's kind of just that, a deserving senior, really, that you'd want to get it. But
is it ever didn't it wasn't there one year where like there was like a kind of dust up after the game, or am I misremembering?
Yeah, no, I think that was 2003 in the swamp.
Okay.
And David Castillo had it.
Right.
Obviously, again, a senior.
That was an emotional game because it was
right.
When the PK Sam play.
Right. But Dave is the guy to talk about the senior that's been through tons of injuries, and he's got it. He may need to ask him. I wasn't there for that one. I wasn't working there then, but I think it kind of came out to midfield.
Right.
And yeah, and that's
there's some
awesome.
emotions.
Yeah. It's cool to know that it can start. And that's the thing. Like I have a lot of good friends that are Florida people, Florida grads, Florida boosters, and they know about it. They know of it. They know it's mine, and they absolutely hate it. I mean, they hate it. There was a bounty out on this thing for a few years. I think if people could have gotten a hold of it, it had disappeared. And that's why I always kept it covertish, right. Like I don't display it in my house. I probably could up here. I think I'd probably be safe up here, but maybe not after this. But I just keep it in that box year round. It stays in that box in storage or in my garage or wherever, and that's when it comes out. When the game's over, it's literally got 20 something years of packing tape layers on it where you cut it open and take it out and you put it back in and tape it over again. So we could probably be a little more fancy about it. There was years we talked about building a trunk, building a custom case, make it official. And
right.
Maybe we will to protect it some, but because it's getting all beat up. That's a good sign, from people touching it, holding it. Right. It's getting all beat down, but yeah.
So last week it was with you in Atlanta.
Yeah. So it's been with me the whole time. I mean, they had it last year. I don't remember what we did last year. I dropped it off or something in the off season. I don't know, but when I was back down there in the off season this last year, I brought it back home. I can't buy into just leaving it there the whole time. I just know how that things walk away and things get lost in that stadium, and I can't do it. So yeah, it was here sitting in my garage in the box. And we had a plan in place because I got some family that comes up for Thanksgiving. I can't get away, it's a normal practice week, but I've got some family that are able to come up and visit. So aunt and uncle, cousin, her husband, their family, they all come up. So it's a nice situation. My cousin Jenny, her husband Larry works in Citrus and has use of a company airplane at times. So they're able to fly right up here and land at an airport 10 minutes from the house and all that. So I said, well, that's the it. I'll just have them take it back because they're going to go to the game. So they were going to carry the thing back. They were all excited to be part of the mission, if you will. So as it just kept approaching and getting closer, I was like, damn, they play Friday, and how many seats are on that airplane? So they said, yeah, we got a little room, so Fridays, our schedule, we call it Fast Friday. We come in, you practice a little bit earlier, you get it done a little earlier, and you try to get everybody out of the building by 2:00 or so. That's why I'm sitting here right now talking to you. It's Friday. So I thought, I can pull this off. Like they can fly whenever we say we want to fly. And I went and we touched down at 4:30 in Tallahassee and rode into campus and had it. And I literally walked from whatever booster lot they were parked in. I'm carrying this cup box, past the track and through all kinds of people that were looking at me like, what the hell is that guy doing? And took it right in there to the equipment room. So it worked out. And I caught a Delta flight back at 5:30 in the morning the next day. And we played Washington and we flew to Washington that afternoon when I got back. And I crashed with Josh Chapman, my guy Josh, lives fairly close to the airport, and so he said, I'll get you there. So I think I slept about an hour on his couch, and we pulled it off. So
It's awesome.
yeah, I'm glad I did. It was great. I mean, it's the first chance I've had to even go back. Our bye weeks haven't lined up.
You didn't you? Oh no, I was going to say you came for that spring game, but that was right before you left.
Right. That was right when I was leaving. Yeah. So
when Winky was here, right?
Yep. So I was like, damn, I got to take advantage of it. One, that I can go. I got a Friday evening, I can just fly down and do it. So it worked out, and I'm glad I did. I missed it. You missed the place for sure. You missed all the people. Did me a lot of good to just see a lot of people, that I care a whole lot about, and obviously the win that they had, and it was worth all the lost sleep for sure.
It's kind of cool because this rivalry has gone back and forth. Where, like you said, Florida would win 5 or 6, Florida State would win 5 or 6. It's kind of gone back and forth. So the guys on this team, well, I guess there's a couple of the older guys, Robert Cooper maybe, and
no, they didn't know about it, right?
Really? That's what I was gonna.
Yeah. So Jason had it pulled out like in a laundry hamper. I shouldn't say how the mission works, right? But he had it tucked away on the sideline. And he's like, you tell us what to do. How's this supposed to go? So yeah. You guys figure out who needs it, figure out who needs it, who's not on the field when the game ends, and you just get it to them right when the clock's hitting 0. Well, we get that big 4th down stop, and then one kneel down, and I turn and realize that thing's still over there against the wall, and everybody's walking on the field. So they had to run, haul out there to take it to somebody, because the kids didn't know to ask for it,
Right.
because last time we took it out was 2017. I guess Pokey was on that team.
Right.
But that's about it, I think, that was on that team. So hopefully now things have changed. Things are right in the world, and they all know the deal. And next year they'll be asking everybody all week, who can get it first. So.
We should have named. I didn't realize Reagan's had one, and the one should have named them like Osceola's. I mean, excuse me, the Renegades. I think have numbers, and Uga's got numbers. So
I think honestly, I think I thought about naming it Steve, because earlier back in the 90s when it was first getting going, I think I was going to name it Steve, but I never did it.
So, that might work.
Yeah,
that might still work.
Yeah, still piss him off. So,
yeah. So are there arrangements to make sure you don't have to, or you feel good, you'll always be able to get it there?
Oh, I'll find a way. Yeah. I mean, if I have to FedEx it, I would FedEx it, but maybe that's the fun in it. Just knowing every year I gotta come up with a plan, or meet somebody in the middle, meet somebody in Macon or something. But
it's it could be
I'm never leaving it. Yes.
the plot for Smokey and the Bandit 4.
That's right. There you go. You have to get me a Trans Am, and we'll figure it out. But that's the fun in it, to make sure it's always available. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to a lot of people now. So that's one of the things I really enjoy about it is and maybe that's why it's all of a sudden big now. This day and age of media and digital media and social media, and everybody wants that moment and that clip, where when it first was going on, those phones weren't coming out to take a picture, so now, you have the moment on the field, and then it goes inside. And I tell you about the moment on the field too, from Friday night. Again, nobody really knew how this was supposed to work. And so I told one of the equipment guys, you have to go everywhere this goes. Like, you're the bodyguard, go where it goes. It can't go in the crowd. It can't go up in the stand. That was one year, like getting passed into the student section.
Right.
So all of a sudden people are coming on the field. Right.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh no, this isn't good. And it just started getting more and more full. And I can't see it. All of a sudden I see it up in the air. One guy's got it way up in the air, and it's surrounded by students with their phones out. And I'm thinking, this is not good. This thing could just disappear.
Right. So
I make my way around to the tunnel area, and I'm telling players, go back in there and get it. And they're like, we can't get in there. So I was really worried. And all of a sudden they said, no, it's inside. So then once it gets inside, the team's having their moments and stuff with it. Everybody's having their pictures with it, and all the support staff too, and the student athletic trainers and the student managers, and having that moment, having that time with it, and getting their pictures with it, it's awesome. And I love that. And what's really cool now is every year around that week on Facebook, your memories start popping up and seeing pictures from every year, or people will change their profile picture to when they were a student working in with the picture of the Gatorhead from 9 years ago or whatever, and I love seeing that, that everybody's still
awesome.
got a little piece of that moment to it. And that's why it's cool. And that's why hopefully we'll do it forever.
The what's cool about to me, man, is like so many schools try to start traditions like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when Spurrier called the swamp, and I was like, man, you can't just
Yeah.
name it the swamp. Like that's not how this works. But it ended up sticking. But this one wasn't like that. The school didn't go out and buy it.
Right.
You saw
Right.
Reagan's had one, and so you started doing it.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
cool.
And somebody mentioned the other day, like they termed it like a rivalry trophy. And I said,
Right.
well, it's not that because
Because they don't get it.
they're never getting it. It's just ours, so somewhat like that, but not quite.
That's awesome. Hey, last thing I wanted to ask you about, because when we talked when you were leaving Florida State to go to the Falcons, again, congratulations. I'm a little jealous seeing all your photos on Facebook. First of all, real quick though, how cool is it that you get it's like you have reunions almost every week with
Yeah.
former players and former
Yeah.
trainers, and how much fun is that?
Yeah, it's awesome. It has been one of the most rewarding parts of all this, from having all those years there and all of the guys through the years and their growth and their development and having some small part in it and knowing that was always their goal, and then just getting to see them then down the road. I've tried to make a point to always see the guys before and after the game, grab a photo, and no, it's awesome. It really is. And you're right, it's not just players. There's plenty of other people working in the league, both equipment managers and athletic trainers and coaches and video. And I mean, you name it, that have passed through Tallahassee. And it's one of the coolest parts of it all. It really is. And you forget too, like people still grow. It's amazing. Like from the last time you see a guy in college and he's in the best shape of his life at his pro day, if you don't see him for 3 or 4 years, that guy's still like Derwin James. We played them a couple of weeks ago, is a monster, man.
Right.
Bigger than he was even when he left us. You forget how these people are still growing and developing as athletes. It's shocking, really.
When they don't have school to worry about or
Yeah.
whatever, they're grown men.
I mean, it's amazing, how they keep growing and developing their bodies, and all of them are like that. It's crazy. But no, that's something that's really special to see them. And hopefully keep seeing some more. Now the new crops coming in, someone may not even know who I am, but I'll go find them.
But that's the other thing I wanted to ask you. So, when we talked when you left, you seemed pretty encouraged and excited about what Mike Norvell and that staff was going to do. And you were, it seemed like that was one bittersweet thing, is you felt like things were going in the right direction. So how cool has it been to watch this and then be down there Friday night?
Yeah, that was the hardest part. I think I told you the hardest part about leaving was knowing and having a really good feeling on where this was going to go. It's incredible, and I told him that the other night when I saw him. It's just so awesome now, just being this fan sitting there watching it, but knowing what I know about what was going into it for a couple of years, it's all coming to fruition, and it's just proof in your method. And it's awesome. I told everybody I could when I'd see them, just it's pride. You're proud of them, one, it's your place. You want the best for your place for sure, but just you're happy for those people, that the tough years that were, and the hard work that went into it, it's working, and it's so easy to see. And they'll tell me, when I'm talking to Josh Storms or Cupper or Bruce Warwick, like they'll say, man, you're really starting to see. And even I talked to Coach Norvell back in August, right at the start of camp. He said, I'm telling you, I'm seeing it. I'm starting to see it. And I'm telling them, I see it from here, like I know you see it, because I'm telling you from way over here, I can see everything changing and everything happening like you said it was going to happen, so it's awesome to see. I love to see it. They're doing such a great job, and they're the right people, at the right time. So awesome. I can't wait to see where it keeps going.
Awesome, man. Well, I hope hopefully the Gatorhead gets out again soon, and hopefully that you're there again. I don't know if that's gonna be possible.
Yeah,
probably not on Saturday.
Here, but I may not be there, but it'll be there. And we kind of maybe got to get back to those years. We got to keep it under wraps because people will be out looking for it. So
awesome. Well, thanks, Jake, man. I really appreciate your time. and look forward to seeing you again down the road. Hopefully
Thanks,
down
Ira.
in Tallahassee. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Appreciate you. Great to see you.
See you, man.